Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Monday, October 28th. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Friday, November 8th, there'll be a Veterans Appreciation Breakfast honoring Mendon veterans of all ages and branches of the service. It's from 8 to 10 a.m. at the Mendon Senior Center. Just want to let everybody know that. This is sponsored by the Mendon Police Association, the Mendon Council on Aging, and the Friends of the Mendon Elders. All right, I'm just going to shuffle some stuff around. I'm going to bring Detective Kersey on up to talk about the appointment of a police officer, or this is a replacement, and also special officer's hourly rate for two officers that we have. I'm sorry, do you have a concern of why I'm taking things out of order? Yes, we're probably going to be about 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight, just so that everybody's... No, I will be brief. Could you, we'll go over appointing Officer Edward Pokonicki first?
Yep, everything should be in the letter. I forwarded the letter to Diane, so
Okay.
if you have any questions about that.
Sure. We're, also, who is he replacing?
He's replacing Officer Dumas, who just left to go to Sturbridge.
Correct. So Officer Dumas was one of the hires that we pulled out of Millville. He's now,
Nope, he came out of,
oh, sorry.
somewhere like Brookfield or something, somewhere out west. He came
Anyhow, he's taking another job in Sturbridge?
Sturbridge, yep.
In Sturbridge. And Officer Pokonicki was a former police officer that was laid off here in Mendon. He was given the opportunity to come back at the last time we started hiring back. Ended up staying where he was, but now has expressed a large interest in coming back, and we're happy to have him back, so.
Yeah, we had just laid him off. It was 2-3 months later. He was worried about getting laid off again, and his family to think about, so now that we're a little more stable, he feels better coming back.
Yeah, no, exactly. And again, super happy to have him back. I know I am, anyhow. He's a great police officer.
I move to appoint Edward Pokonicki as a full-time police officer at the Step 2 rate of $24.6938 per hour, effective immediately.
Oh, we're going to go with that?
That's
That's
what
what
I
it's-
was
That's what the boss had said.
Why are we bringing that, discussion? Why do we bring that out 4 decimal places?
The town accountant prefers that.
Oh, really?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not
Yes.
a typo?
Nope.
Excuse me.
No, I didn't mean from you, I meant from the chief. Okay.
That's the rate according to the contract.
Oh, okay, after I calculated it out. All right. So that was our fault. Again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then just the discussion on the special officer's hourly rate?
Yep, we have special officers, or retired full-time police officers that we allow to work details, and in a pinch, when we really need them, sometimes we have them come in, when we can't get anybody else in. We used to pay them $40 an hour, the detail rate. We thought that was kind of excessive at the time. We brought it to the lowest paid officer. Back then, it was top step. Now, with all the hiring and everything, the rates have been changing monthly, yearly. They went from getting paid $29 and change now to like $22 an hour. We just wanted to set a clear rate at $30 an hour, be consistent with them. They always get that. Their pay's not changing from week to week if we need them. And like I said, we rarely use them. We need them like when we're really in trouble. Selectmen real saw one point we had 2 o'clock in the morning. We needed someone to come up. We couldn't get anybody. Officer Grady came out and helped us out, and it was a huge appreciation. So, I figure they have over 30 years each of experience. We probably should pay them for their experience.
Understood. This isn't considered part-time officers. They're not anything that there's nothing to discuss with the contract with the union or anything like
Nope,
that?
they're special officers,
Okay.
and we only use them when we really need to. And they're retired officers. That's the only time we use anybody.
Okay. Okay with it.
What?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just have a quick question on the previous item, because you seem surprised at an hourly rate or something. I'd just like to just check with Sergeant Kersey that the numbers you gave me were based upon whatever number he has in front of him, right? I don't have to make an adjustment in that.
No, this is used, instead of
Not this latest thing you talked about, the previous one, because remember he made it.
step 2, yep, that's what we talked about.
Okay, fine.
Step 2, because the other option was step 3, but we decided on step 2.
Right, okay.
Yep, so we decided on the lower option.
Correct. Oh, yes, right,
Yeah.
I agree.
But you gave him his vacation time and
Yep.
the other stuff, so.
And he got his serve time,
The longevity
Yeah.
and vacation time.
I just wanted to make sure I had enough in
Yep.
the new article, that's all.
Yeah, if there's any confusion or questions about Grady or Dunleavy.
Yeah, I'm just more curious, I mean, given some of the other topics we're talking about, is this, I might want to hold on this for a little bit, just
Okay.
short period, just to understand better where $30 an hour came from. I think, given the level of scrutiny we're giving to other departments,
fair enough.
I'd want to defer a little bit.
What we do is, if we had to force an officer in, you're paying them overtime.
Yep.
So their overtime would never be anywhere near $30 an hour. They used to get 40, which we thought was excessive, and that's why we brought it down. If you look at top step officer without Quinn or anything, he's somewhere around 29 and change. That's where it came from. We're paying a flat rate of what we figure a top step officer should get. But instead of saying it's top step officer now, every time you give the top step officer a raise now in the future, now they keep getting raises. It's just a flat rate. So if top step goes above 30 someday, we're not keep giving them a bump up.
So, okay, so I guess, did I understand correctly, they currently are getting 29?
They get whatever the lowest step officer is, and up until we did the layoffs, the lowest step officer was always the top officer. So there were no other.
Oh, okay.
There was no one else. For 9 years, we didn't hire anybody, and that was their rate.
So the benefit here, this is a fixed rate.
It's a fixed rate. When you do raises for officers, it's never going to change. And for them, too, it's protection that if we don't hire someone in the academy, all of a sudden their rate drops down to $21.
We're meeting next week, I think, correct? Right. You actually said something that was interesting. You're saying, if we don't do this, if we don't have these part-time officers, and we're bringing officers in on an overtime basis.
Be cautious. of
Yeah,
how
they're
I'm
not
saying it. It's
part-time
not a
officers,
part-time.
yeah.
No, all right.
Special officers, yeah.
Excuse my, if we don't do this position, we're not on this special officer, you were making the case that if we were to bring in a full-time officer at time and a half, for overtime.
Yeah, if we force one of them to come in.
I would like to understand that, because I think what I want to make sure is we can understand sort of the ROI on doing this. I mean, if there's a benefit to going with this rate, what's the other side of the coin? Because we just raise it from whatever 20-something up to 30, people
Yeah.
say, why are we giving these guys a $6 raise?
I don't
But I don't think it's a raise,
$6.
because naturally, once this low step officer becomes top step, they're going to be getting whatever the top step is.
Two
So-
different fixed, I understand.
Yeah,
I like the
so-
fixed cost aspect of it. I think for right now, this point in time, it might be good for us to demonstrate why, this is,
Yeah.
it's going fixed, which is good. It's a reasonable amount, so it's
Yeah.
not, you're not demonstrating a raise, you're actually potentially showing a savings, because if
Yeah.
we don't go this path, we're doing overtime with a full-time officer.
Yeah, we'd have to force them in, because, I don't think they'd come in. If we keep lowering their rates, they're probably just going to say, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to stay in bed.
Potentially.
So, okay, right, so you're okay to, if we don't have.
Yeah, that's fine, we can talk about next week.
Okay,
I'm
so we
working
can do it next
Sunday.
Monday?
Next Monday.
Okay, can we just make sure that's on next Monday?
And whatever questions you have, you can give me a call.
Thanks.
And then I think I'm here for the next thing, the Insurance Advisory Board.
Insurance advisory board, okay, we'll have the insurance advisory board come up next then.
Glad he's gonna freak out.
So
if you don't
Dave,
do it next.
one thing, if we could just.
Oh, wait,
see a
sorry.
Scenario of
I need to
saying,
talk about, no, I'm just kidding.
not especially hourly rate.
Yep.
This is what it turns into, just side by side, and say, oh, clearly there's a benefit.
All the way up?
No problem.
Thank
All
you.
the way up. Peg doesn't like to go all the way up.
I don't like to get too close.
Let me just give you guys the new updated ones, okay? Because the rate even dropped a little more on this.
What?
My original, see that? I said I do.
You sure can. I
Okay?
think I'm only going to let you sit
you.
down.
Okay, the Insurance Advisory Committee met with Jill Gallant, who is our representative from Meyer, and she had brought before me a plan for the retirees. We currently have a MedX 3 plan, which we're paying $452 a month, and she has proposed a MedX 2 plan for the town, which will go down to $271.62 a month. This plan is a federal subsidized plan. It will take effect January of this year. The only difference in this plan, the medical piece of it remains the same. There are no changes whatsoever to the medical part of it. The prescription component of it is the part that will change a little bit, with the charges for the co-pays at the pharmacy pickup or mail order. Peg Tatro is actually our representative on the committee from the retiree portion, and she did some numbers on her own prescriptions over the past year. Both her husband and herself were previous employees of the town, and based on that information she provided, they were able to still have a benefit of a $442 a year savings by switching over to this plan. The net savings to the town on this is going to be a $38,000 savings. And then, of course, there's a savings to the employee of $541.50 a year on that. So the Insurance Advisory Committee met, and we met with Jill, and we all discussed it. We were recommending to the Board of Selectmen that the town adopt the Medics 2 policy as the new retiree plan for the town of Mendon.
May I?
Yeah.
So, in terms of the benefits around the prescriptions, we're eliminating a deductible upfront, is that right? Am I reading that right? From going 3 to 2? 140, 35 quarterly, 140 per year?
Yes, that will be a zero
Right.
on
so
that,
that's
correct.
benefit. And then the 10, 20, 35, just in the row beneath that?
Yes.
How does that, is that just depending on what type of drug?
Well, if you look at the current model that we presently have,
Yep.
for a 30-day prescription at the retail pharmacy, there is a zero cost for a generic, and for a brand name, there is a 20% cost. So if you have a very expensive drug that someone needs, okay, they're going to be having to pay 20% of the cost of that drug. The new plan that we're proposing, it would be a $10 copay for the Tier 1, 20, and then a 35 for Tier 3. And then on the mail order, if you do a 90-day prescription, they're presently doing a $2 generic and a $15 brand name, and the new plan would propose the 20, 40, 70. So that's where you're seeing the changes on the prescriptions.
So in the retail version, though, it's also a fixed copay, right? Whereas
Correct.
20 depending on the price of the,
On
on the current
the
plan,
tier
if that
of the
price
drug.
spikes, it's still 20% of that price, right?
Yes.
But it's fixed on the new plan.
Yes. And because this plan is going to go into effect January, Meyer, our rep from Meyer, will come out. If the board chooses to go with this plan, the Selectmen's office would then send out letters to all the retirees. We would have a meeting with Maya. They will come out step by step and go through this with all the individual retirees. One-on-one, correct. To work through this transition with them. The only other difference on this, instead of the prescriptions, if you're doing a mail order, being through Express Scripts, it will now be done through CVS Caremark, which is the same thing. You can either do it online, you can do it with an 800 number, however you wish to do it.
Perfect.
What was the cutoff date? I forgot what she said.
January 1st.
No, but for them to.
Next Monday.
To be notified.
Oh, for Maya, yes.
By next Monday.
I have a document that you need to sign, because in order for us to change this, the board has to take a vote, sign the document, so then they can start all the paperwork rolling.
Tonight.
I'm gonna need some time to read over all this paperwork. I'm only kidding.
Next week can be the very
That's
latest.
just an inside note.
Yes,
yes,
Go out here.
Monday's
Right.
Next Monday can be the drop
Monday's the
date, the
drop
very
date.
last
Yes.
day.
I'm
It's actually
on
next
board
Sunday,
with
but
it
they'll
if the-
let it go to
if
Monday.
If you don't
Insurance
decide
advisory board
tonight
doesn't
or Monday, then you can't do it this
Yeah.
year.
Right.
Mr. Schofield.
Why is there a drop dead date? Is a drop dead date as far as saving
Enrollment.
money in this year?
Because the enrollment date is January 1st.
Oh, it's open enrollment.
It's,
Right.
I
that's,
see.
yes, because this is a federally subsidized plan, so it goes January to December, where our current policy goes July 1st to June 30th. So we need to get everybody activated and get all the paperwork processed.
Or it's next January.
Right. And they want to be able to meet with the retirees one-on-one to explain to them the different what has to be done,
Before it starts.
and they want them to be comfortable with it.
Right.
Can I ask a question? So I think I had asked you this before, but I can't remember what you said. How if it's effective January 1st, and the retirees, most of the retirees have their premiums deducted from their Worcester County
yep.
retirement check. Have you checked with Worcester County to see how soon they can?
No, but even if they cannot change the deduction, say for January, the difference can be made up in the following month
But
or
I don't-
after that.
From my conversations with Worcester Regional in the past, the town is responsible for collecting any back premiums.
But it won't
Would
be
be a
back,
savings.
it's going to be a savings to the employee. So
So-
the worst possible scenario is if they didn't get it into place, on their December check
Right,
deduction,
right.
they would have paid too much. So their
Right.
following month, they could decrease the amount of their withholding for the
But I
insurance.
don't know whether Worcester Regional is going to want to do that.
Well, they've done this with other communities, so this is not anything new.
So it sounds like the mechanism to reduce
Yes.
the payment needs to be confirmed, but
Correct.
And there's no lapse. in-
No, there's no
there's-
lapse
there's
in
no lapse
coverage
in the
for.
coverage.
Nothing at all for the retirees.
I'm good. I move to offer the MedX 2 plan to retirees beginning January 1st, 2014.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Diane has the
Did
document.
we vote on Bokaniki?
Yes, you
We
did.
did.
Yes.
Yep, he's hired.
Diane, yeah, just have them.
Thank you.
You can't take it back.
No, no, no. Not for
It's
me.
on tape.
Yeah, he's working
I just,
tomorrow.
I
You
just
can't
want to
take
make,
it back.
yeah, I just want to make sure because he is on the schedule.
Bokaniki
isn't he?
back.
It has to be signed, I think, there's only one signature.
Oh, that would be Lonnie's signature
That
then,
would
right?
be.
Okay.
Yep.
There's only one.
Woo, woo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for all your work on that.
Thank you.
And next week, when I come back for that, just to be clear too, that those aren't shifts they work, they're like special circumstances, so.
Understood.
Prisoner watches, missing persons, stuff like that.
Need a copy, thank you.
See you next
Would
week.
would they do any of the details for any of the work being done over by Colonial Drive?
Yeah, but that would be regular detail rate. They're not a special officer on that point.
More curious.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, you want to come up? Sure. This is to be to discuss the replacement of the building department's administrative assistant for medical leave, and also a decrease of commercial plumbing fee.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just one thing, small thing with a fee for a plumbing fixture fee for commercial. It's just our fee is currently just totally out of line, and I'm just trying to bring some stuff to normal rates where people don't jump up and down in the office when they come and try to pull a permit. So what I did was I gathered a couple of towns around the fees. For this particular item, Hopedale is an $80 permit fee. And again, this is just a commercial fixture. There's really not a lot of permits for this. Whether they're not pulling it because our price is too high, I don't know, but there's only a couple of guys that come in during the year and just scream about it. So Hopedale's fee is $80. Uxbridge is $100. Mendon's is $300. And Milford's is $50. So I just want to bring it into line.
Slightly out of line,
Yeah.
huh?
I'd like to lower it down to 100 if, with your permission, just get it in line.
Do you think that's still a little high for?
No, I think that's okay. I mean, it's kind of right, it's right there, and we don't do a lot of them, but I'm thinking people probably aren't pulling the permits because of the fee, so, you know, I
What is a
think
what is a commercial fixture?
it's any kind of like a heating unit or, you know, a fan unit. Some of them, you know, these people go to do these jobs, and probably the cost of the job might be 150 and the permit's 300. So it's just something, it's been going on for a little while, I just want to try to get it corrected.
Okay,
So,
you shall.
I move to set the commercial plumbing fee to $100.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item would be the Building Department Administrative Assistant.
yes. So, the administrative assistant is planning on going on sick leave in December. I'm not sure, she doesn't have a date yet for her procedure, but she's estimating she's going to be out for approximately 6 weeks. And our new administrative assistant for conservation / swing clerk, I guess, would step into that position to increase the hours. I'm looking for 12 hours to cover the office for the morning hours. She's currently already here on Tuesday and Thursday in the building down there. So I would need 2 hours for those 2 days, and then 4 hours for Monday and Wednesday.
Okay, at what rate? What's the rate? Do we know the rate? Okay. Rich, just because you've got your laptop out there, that's, so 12 hours, okay, I mean, obviously, something we can fit into the budget. We might have to do a transfer at a future special town meeting. I don't think we can get it on this, well, I mean, I suppose we could if we needed to, because the warrant's still technically open, correct?
Is already a line item for it, Andy. Is there?
Is it in, what
There might not be, but you're right, yeah, we could.
Okay.
line item does that come out of? Is it out of building department, or is it town hall salaries?
For the replacement?
For the,
It's town hall salaries.
It is town.
There's an item for it already, so we have the raise in one of the articles, you could just bring it up higher.
Oh, okay, we already have an article, we could stick it in.
We were trying to keep the raises in an article separate from the others, but we haven't really accomplished that anyway, because we get the
Okay.
police mixed in with it
So,
already
I
anyway.
mean, this isn't technically a raise, right?
No, the reason we were trying to keep it separate is just so it would be easier to talk about.
Right, but it's just town hall salaries.
No,
isn't
I
transfer, right?
understand. I'm just more curious. I mean, this is, so we're talking 13 hours, increase, or 12 hours,
$1,300.
$1,300, so, but 12 hours to bridge a medical leave.
Correct.
So how many hours does she work today?
8? Oh, well, no, sorry,
Gail?
yes,
Gail.
4 days a week, so.
Well, she works,
40 hours a week.
yeah,
There's
40
reason.
hours.
40 hours a week, okay. So we're losing 40 hours a week, we're bridging it with an additional net of 13, so it's a net decrease. 12, sorry.
12.
I like that 13 number, it's in my head.
We're kind of doing double coverage for
No, no.
4 of those hours,
And
too.
I'm just making the
Right.
point, what we're doing is
Yeah.
we're actually leveraging sort of that idea of pooling resources, right?
Correct.
So it's not just a state swap or an increase, it's actually, it's increasing the number of hours for an individual to help cover a larger shift.
Right, a shorter amount of time, right, exactly. Now, my only other concern on this, and this is just a question for Claudia, so I think we can approve this pending, if you'd like to. This is going to increase on a weekly basis. She's currently 15 hours, correct?
Yeah, Claudia just explained to us that in order for her to officially move to full-time, it would have to be a certain number of hours in a whole year. This short amount of time.
Is okay.
It's not gonna cause that problem.
Then that answers my question. So that's all I need.
It's only 12 hours, I'm kind of banking on it's going to slow down in December, you know, so that would help a little bit on that end, so I think we can get away with the 12 hours.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Chairman, I move to allow Lee Cameron to work in the building department as a part-time administrative clerk during the medical leave of the building department administrative assistant at a rate of $18.02 for a maximum of 7 weeks.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. That works.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, do we want to go over the warrant now?
no hours, maximum number of hours. hours in there.
So, okay, so, oh, all right,
Might want to amend,
let's adjust
know.
that. Adjust it to 7 weeks, so 7 weeks times 12.
7 weeks.
It's actually not 12 hours. It's 12 hours a week, sorry, yeah.
12 hours a week for a maximum of 7 weeks. I thereby amend my motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
We just gave her another 6 months of
12
money.
hours was
We just gave her a bonus.
cited.
Don't worry about it.
I just want to make sure I got it right.
Per the FinCom.
Further, no, we
That's
just,
your
we just put the hours per week for 7 weeks. We only said 7 weeks before, but not how many hours per week. And the original motion.
6 weeks.
But up to 7 weeks, just in case. So you might want to throw that little bit of extra in there.
I'll take the 7.
Okay, so I'm going to just kind of breeze, okay, so first of all, I believe that the bylaws are still on here, which we're going to actually put off until I believe, the February special, the bylaw change.
So we're definitely having it in February.
At this point, this would force the February, which we generally have one anyhow.
So we don't want to just plow through and maybe avoid one
Oh,
in
I'm sorry,
February?
I don't, I'd rather not. I know you do.
Well, if the zone, if we're going to push something off for the sake of, and cause another town meeting and that cost, do we just kind of tough it out and just do it in one evening?
The answer to that is yes. I think that based upon what has been gone through with these bylaws and the amount of effort that everybody put in with them, I would rather see something that we have a little bit more time to prepare for, so that the townspeople know about it, so that they hopefully will come out and it's not just decided by a small group of people like we have in the past.
Yes.
Generally, we're probably not going to get a lot of folks to show up for this coming meeting. I don't think the bylaws are going to do that. I think that given after the holiday timeframe, in the February timeframe, I would think that we're going to get a better turnout, and we can talk about it a little bit more on the radio, get a little bit more out in the local paper media, and I think that,
You sold me.
All right.
That's fine.
We'll remove these bylaws till the next February special town meeting. I think they're pretty important. I don't want them to just get blown by. And I don't want to see them
Well,
I'm actually more afraid that they might not get passed than if we.
give them more time, more discussion, floor time.
Yeah.
If we do it in February.
Right, and I
Okay.
think that we'll try to keep that special town meeting limited to mainly the bylaws and any critical financial articles that we need to do. All right, so that'll really cut down this meeting. Well, not really. Rich has flooded this meeting with FinCom articles. I'm going to briefly go over these. Again, I know that everybody would like to get home for the game, so. Article 1, it's to replace the stipends that had been removed in the past. Article 2, what is that doing?
This is reinstituting the stipends and,
On Article 2? I thought that's Article 1.
oh, hey, look at that.
Article 2
Is to
is,
rescind and then raise and appropriate, so they go hand in hand, right? You need
Oh,
both
one
actions
together.
to do it.
and Article 2 also has appointed officials on it.
Understood, okay, thanks. Article 3 is for funds to the collector treasurer's line item. What's that one about? Did we go over all these the last time?
We did.
Okay, so there was a concern on, I know that there's been a change in the request, if the Board of Health would like to come up, because I know there was a change in the request on the Board of Health one, from 2.5 to 5.
2.5 to 5, that's correct, yes.
So, I mean, what we're saying is now the Board of Health requires a full 40 hours.
Sorry.
After reducing the water board's duties.
Okay. So there was a placeholder on here on town hall salaries that if we choose to take that action,
Okay.
it would be there.
Oh, okay.
But now we need the town hall salary line item potentially to cover the decision we just made on the building department, right? So is that one motion or two motions, or is it all in one, and do they have to all be approved together?
I'm assuming it can all go together because it goes to the same light item.
I would go
Right.
down the path of, do they have to, or can they be separate motions?
Well, you can make a separate motion if you wanted to.
Okay, because I'll be honest, say right now, I'd probably say, given the, I mean, when we're at 2.5, I'm not in favor of putting on the article, and then we got the request to increase that even more, and I'm less in favor until I understand it better. A couple reasons. And I don't know, if you want to join us and talk about it, that's fine, or I can just kind of state my reasons.
Go right ahead.
I'm getting back to the idea of pooling resources, right? So if the job functions such that we need more hours, I would first, I mean, we've had this idea of looking at clerks across the municipality and say, what opportunity do we have to share, move, things like that. So 2.5 hours, that seemed like one that we should be able to find somewhere, whether that's working with, Peg in the clerk's office, part of her 9 hours. Is it regular? Is it consistent? Is it event-based? For me, it's understanding what the job entails. And I'm still looking for some level of detail. And actually, I don't think I can even make that assessment. I'm not here on a day-to-day basis. So my preference, and I think in a meeting you were not at, Lonnie, we said this was a 2, maybe not a November article, but possibly a spring, or we look at it and get our feet under us.
February.
My preference is still to keep it there, not take action on it now.
I agree.
My opinion on it is that, I'm in favor of the 2.5 additional hours. And for the simple fact that just over the years, I'm sure that the Board of Health duties, as I had stated before in the previous meeting, just environmental changes and more environmental paperwork has probably increased that. By removing the water duties from that department, I don't know that there's an increase of 5. Again, it's hard for me to make that assessment.
Where are you basing the 5 from? Where's that coming from?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought there was a request for was originally.
I would probably say, come on up, because we can revisit the discussion.
Yeah, because if I'm missing something, I'm sorry, I was,
I mean, I would probably say the write-up we got most recently is challenging the allocation of hours in the sense that it was never really detailed. Missy in the last meeting said it took her about 1 hour to do stuff. So I'd say at best, you would probably make the case that it's of 3.5 hours that goes to the water, based on 2.5 for billing and 1 hour based on Missy's recollection. Is that fair?
All right, take it over, Tom, you got the...
Correct, yeah. Based on the 2.5 difference that was formally agreed to some time back was specific for supporting the Water Commission.
Right.
Prior to that, it appears as though the actual time utilized for water was very, very minor. We estimated about an hour of the 37.5 originally. So there seems to be a belief, though, that there was actually a usage of at least 2.5 hours prior to the 37.5 increasing to 40 for the position. So I think now it took the numbers down, and we started talking about the position being 35 for Board of Health. And then looking to add potentially 2.5 hours to that to get it to the 37.5.
okay, so, all right, okay.
That
So,
seems to be-
I just want to back up here, because we're trying to bring this position to 37.5 hours, is that it?
At minimum.
The request is 40. We got the document saying requesting full or 40 from the board.
Well,
No, I mean, that's the number that if we go off that last letter, Tom,
Yep.
you're moving it to 40 for just Board of Health. That's what.
our viewpoint, that letter was a summation of the information that had
Yep.
been previously presented in communications, and that was our viewpoint based on those discussions. So our viewpoint is that the position could involve 40 hours. It was not a formal request to move the position to 40, in my opinion.
Okay.
But that's our viewpoint.
Okay.
My viewpoint, anyway.
Okay, so what, and then I need a formal number then. What's the formal number that you're requesting? Because I've been under the impression it was 2.5.
It's 2.5, so at the 37 hours,
37.5 hours.
the 37, and to increase it to 40 hours is only 2.5 hours.
Right now, she's at 35. When we,
I don't see the 35. I've never seen the
Can I make a
35.
suggestion, just on this point? Because this all started when Missy formally wrote a letter to the board and said, I am no longer doing those functions. That's how this started. To which point I looked at it and I said, that's an interesting way to approach, I'm getting buried, right? I might suggest we take a step back. Maybe we don't fully, we need to understand what the job is and what it entails, right? The billing opportunity to outsource, vendor outsource on billing of water. We've got some work going on with wands, which might take care of billing of water. So my point is this, without truly understanding what the allocation of resources is, without understanding, looking at sort of the increase on the Board of Health side around animal control, animal inspection, right? I mean, we have a request to look at that as a joint venture, right? So there is a potential here where these hours may be made up depending on if, in fact, we work with Upton to say, can we share services on these things, right?
Well, that issue just came to my knowledge just as of today, so I'm not aware of that.
No, that's my point, is there's a lot of things out there, so that's another reason why I hesitate to say, move the hours up, because I'm not sure.
so, and unless I missed something somewhere, we took 5 hours and we allocated it to the water. We allocated 5 hours to the new clerk and the Conservation Committee for water. So there's 5 hours that we took from the Board of Health salary line item and moved over there because that was for water. Because I was under the impression that everybody that said, yes, it was 5 hours. Now, there may be an adjustment now that you've looked into it further down the road, but that was what we agreed upon in prior meetings. I think as much as early as the last meeting that was agreed upon. And then there was a request for 2.5 hours. And then there was a letter that we had received that day stating that these are the reasons why we think it should be 2.5 hours. And now we're saying that we need more. Do we want more? And it's okay if the request is more. I just want to understand that it's been a flux, and
So I was always under the impression that the Board of Health clerking hours was set at 37 and a half, way back in, when was she hired?
2000.
In 2000.
But it was a combined position back then. It was a combined position to support the Board of Health and Water Commission.
Correct. And how many hours of those was totally allocated to water?
From 2000 to 2006, and again, based on information that I viewed, it appears as though the time utilized to support the water department was very minor, averaging about maybe an hour a week, simply because the water department at that time had a third-party company, organized group, that did the lion's share of the work from a clerking perspective.
Correct.
2006, that changed, and changes in the water department needs changed, as well as Board of Health needs changed. Formally, in 2006, the position went from 37.5 to 40. Specifically, the 2.5 was designed to dedicate to water, in addition to whatever time was already being given to water. And since then, in recent years, there's been added need for the Water Commission as well. So I know they've had a request for additional support. So all in all, it's been at least 5 hours of need on the Water Commission's part overall. But the amount of time that was actually spent by the assistant in the early years, it appears as though it was very minor. And I think there was just a belief that there was that the position was 35 early on for Board of Health, and the rest was going to water. And that doesn't seem to be the case to match the timeline that we're aware of, at any rate.
Right. Exactly. And we can't find where it says specifically 2.5 hours.
I don't think there really was.
So my question is, where did the 2.5 hours come up with for the water department to justify her Board of Health duties as 35 hours?
There wasn't.
No.
The Board of Health told us it was 5 hours.
I think it came more, if it was 5 hours now, so if we're no longer doing the water department functions in that office, 5 hours moved to the new position. That's how he got to 5 hours. It's based on current state in terms of support.
Okay, so Missy had told you that it was 5 hours to do the water board stuff now.
It's about 5 hours, yeah.
Okay, so that was in the increase from day one all the way up until...
I mean, Jack, honestly, I don't
is
think
that-
there is no documentation that demonstrate how the resource is being
Right,
allocated.
and I understand that, Mike, I'm not trying to give you a hard time. What I'm trying to do is make sure that these cutting hours doesn't adversely affect the Board of Health.
What I would
Okay, and I
like-
believe that if we go down to 35 hours, I'm afraid there might not be enough clerking hours to accomplish everything that needs to be accomplished.
And it gets back to the point, one of the directionally where we're going in terms of shared resources, not even the shared services with other towns, but just within the resources within the municipality is, you might be right, but I would wager that we should look at this from a pool standpoint to say, can we support it, and determine, to your point, that it will or will not negatively impact your department, water, et cetera. But right now, we're sort of fishing, right? We're out there saying, we think it's this, we think it's that. I would prefer to take the time to understand and start to learn more specifically what it is. You know, unfortunately, if we had town administrator, that is that position that should be able to
Do we have a-
assess and gauge these job profiles. In the interim, though, I'm wondering if there's something we can do here, and that would be Missy raising her hand a little bit, saying, listen, I've got deadlines, I'm not going, because I can't imagine, and you guys tell me, I don't know, is this a flat, sort of consistent capacity where Missy every day has to do X, Y, and Z, or is it more event-based, calendar-based, to say, you need to have certain filings done, et cetera, by
Well, I
certain-
think it's both. I think it's
Right.
very fluid. I think on some particular days, the workload might be less, and other days, it's gonna be real heavy. And what I see in the Board of Health, is we're not really effectively being able to deal with everything that we have to deal with, especially the past condemnations. We still have those sitting out there on the side because she hasn't had enough hours to be able to take care of all the current stuff, okay? So it's things like that I see that, you know, basically, you know, you're a business, Lonnie, and you got customers screaming at you because you're falling behind. So basically, it's the same thing. Some days you make it through the day, you get everything done, other days you don't. So, and it's completely fluid. It changes on a day-to-day basis, and, you know, with the growth of the town, obviously, since 2000, I mean, from 35 hours back in 2000, with the growth of the town, the needs of the Board of Health, and every other department grows along with it, I'm sure you're aware of that. If we go to the 35 hours, I'm not quite sure it's going to be enough.
So I'm going to be brutally honest here. For me, the issue is one of principle, not 2.5 hours.
Want to come up here?
No, I'm good here. I'm straight. So if we look at it, the clerk does her entire job in 33 hours. The town accountant does her entire job in 35 hours. The administrative assistant to the selectman does her job, doesn't, well,
That's
doesn't quite
not true.
accomplish it. in
That's not
32
true.
hours. What's not true?
I put in more hours a week that I don't get
I
paid
hadn't
for.
gotten to you yet.
Okay, you said administrative assistant.
Yes, but I hadn't said the number of hours yet, right? So
Oh.
you have technically 32 hours,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so Diane could make the same argument, okay? So, and the issue here really isn't how many hours it should be. The issue is one of process and what the right approach should be. And the town administrator should be in place to analyze the stuff. There's no way that any of us in a part-time capacity can analyze whether or not there's the right number of hours. So it's really a principle issue. And if I was some of the other folks in the town hall, I think I might be annoyed that you know, I think I need more hours too, and I don't get them. And I'm also having a tough time believing 2.5 hours. I mean, if the request was at 5 to 10 hours, I could see it. 2.5?
Well, I mean, to that point, I'd rather look at this and go big and say, do we need another full-time clerk somewhere to assist a number of departments, right? So, you know, rather than, we can't keep dealing with this in silos. So we can't make your department whole necessarily, because if we make every department whole, we have overcapacity, right?
Could I just ask a question, what the finance chairman's disbelief is with the 2.5, to be more specific with that?
I just think it's such a small number that I'm having a hard time believing that makes a difference one way or another.
Which 2.5 are you having a hard time with? The 2.5 that was added to the 37.5?
Okay, she's saying she's at 35 now, right? You want 37.5. And I'm having a hard time believing that the 2.5 hours added is going to make the difference between getting all the work done and not getting all the work done. I just don't.
But that's assuming you believe that 2.5 was previously used in the original 37.5 of
No,
the...
that has nothing to do with it.
I
Nothing to
mean,
do with it.
I would, I'm sorry if I can, I just, I don't want this to go down the path of necessarily, I don't think we can assess right or wrong in terms of I mean, I understand, Rich, what you're saying. I would almost stand on a similar but different principle, and that has to do with what does the town need? And I would rather look at it across the board than individual departments, because if we give like I said, if we give each department the hours they need to do just their job, when you're in a fluid environment like this, you're over capacity. You've got more resources than you potentially need, but I do think we need to get our hands around this. I'm not sure we can wait completely until a town administrator is in. I think, I would like to try to give it a shot to see if we can, share resources, The thing is, I mean, we were getting, we were getting, I won't even say we're getting by. We were trying to get by 2 years ago with far less resources. Things were getting done. I don't think all the changes have occurred in the last 2 years that are driving this increase, right? I think we've got to take a step back, in my mind, to look across the board, I mean, I have to believe, we have 9 hours floating in the town clerk's office. If there's a need based on some deadline that's coming up, kind of like bills being mailed.
It's funny that I don't mean to interrupt you, but we keep saying that there's 9 hours of floating in the clerk's office, but then the clerk will come in here and tell you that those 9 hours are needed. And so I feel like we just we're
Everybody says everybody needs those
Right,
hours.
right. And I agree with you.
And I'm kind of like, I understand, and I understand it, I've managed operations. And it's a lot harder to take a step back. The key in my mind is when are those hours needed, right? If everybody comes in and works that straight shift, then yeah, your capacity meets your, the demand, so you make the work, meet the hour, the volume of work to meet the hours you're working. I have to believe, the thing is, I have not seen, honestly, even in the write-up that we just got, there was no specificity as to what's changed. I understand the direction, and I know there's regulations, I know the town's growing, but what specific functions are being done? Because honestly, I got a matrix of all the clerk positions in Town Hall and across Mendon. 80% of the functions are the same. 20% are specialized to Board of Health, Concom, things like that. But a lot of those functions are actually very common, which is why I kind of keep harping on this pool of resources.
Which I would agree with you on. So, right now, I don't think that we can, anybody can sit here and give us a definitive answer on exactly what we need for whether or not to be the Board of Health, whether it be the conservation, water, anything, right? Right now, we've taken 5 hours away from the Board of Health and we've allocated it over to the Conservation Commission. Whether or not that's taken effect in payroll, I assume that it is because that was the decision that was made. Right now, there may be a request for 5 hours because the Board of Health feels that that's what's needed to do that job. And the fact that none of us can make an honest assessment of what needs to be done, then I wouldn't want to leave the Board of Health without anything, and I'd say that add the 2.5 hours, let's let it ride until we do get a town administrator in here to figure out what's going on, and tell us where the needs are, and we can make an adjustment back down if we need to at that point. We've heard 10 different versions. I'm slightly agitated that we actually don't have an answer on this, didn't have an answer on the first request, will kind of just hand to us that, hey, I'm not doing this anymore, without saying, hey, I have a problem, I can't do this, let's collectively get together and work this out. It's kind of just, I'm not doing this anymore, which I felt a little, wasn't that great. Anyway, that's what we have to deal with. I'd say that, again, I don't want to put us in a predicament where things aren't going to get done, so if 2.5 hours, helps, I would have to tend to agree, somewhat with Rich, where I don't know that 2.5 hours makes that much of a difference, but, sometimes I wish I had 2.5 hours at the end of my day to get some other things done, but, yeah, I would like to at least give 2.5 hours and let somebody that can make the official assessment come in here and make that assessment and tell us where, a town administrator is also going to be able to tell us where we can pool some resources and utilize some cross-office utilization. So that's my opinion on it. I feel that we've spent utterly too much time on this, and it's quite frankly frustrating.
All right, so having said that, you're recommending keeping 2.5 articles on the warrant within the town hall salary line item, correct?
Say it again.
You're in favor of a minimum of having a motion on this warrant under that town hall salary article we have here, specific to 2.5 hours to Board of Health. 'Cause we need to allocate it through the special town meeting.
Yeah,
That's your recommendation, right? Bring it from 35 to 37.5.
You just said something that actually, and I think you misspoke, but I wonder if that's a better idea.
Well, I'm not.
Did anybody hear it?
I'm trying to ask you what your intention is. My intention is not to take action at this time. I just want to be clear on that.
I
Okay.
understand. But
So
I
help me
think-
understand what I
but
said.
You said 2.5 hour pool. I'm wondering, do we take can you do that? Do you take 2.5 hours and stick it in a pool, and if somebody needs a half an hour here or an hour there, you allocate it out to Diane or to the treasurer's office? I don't know. Again, I think you might have misspoken. I'm just wondering, does that make even more sense?
If that works and it's a good idea, I'll take it. I'll say that's my idea.
But again, my initial intent, that may be a conversation for another time, and it might be something that it prove, you might have just came up with an idea accidentally there. That might actually sound, shooting from the hip might sound pretty good. So my intent would be to just add 2.5 hours to the Board of Health office at this time. That's my opinion.
Okay. So,
My opinion is it's easier to give than to take, so if we were thinking of analyzing it down the road, then it's gonna be harder to take it away after we analyze than it is to give after we analyze.
it's a good point.
All right, well, let me ask you this. When is this position going to be filled so it can be analyzed?
What's our timeline?
Jeez, I hope it's by, we get something on by the end of the year.
Yeah, 'cause
Well,
we're actually-
the recruiter said 90 to 120 days from when he starts, and he got the contract last week, so we're looking at April.
I mean, I think realistically, it's next.
All right, so can we come to a compromise to say, let's make that 2.5 hour, additional hours for a period of time so we can get somebody in place to analyze this? Because in the meantime, I would hate to see the duties of the Board of Health. So if it's temporary for a period of time, we're covered, we feel comfortable, and let the new position come and figure it out. I think that's a pretty fair compromise.
See, I was kind of hoping she'd be willing to pick up some of the, the 5 hours that was moved to the Concom, whether or not we could bring some of that back, or, you know what I mean? But we actually increased that person's hours officially.
I thought we did.
We need to check that.
I'm almost positive that that person's being paid 15 hours, right? Conservation clerk?
And we'd have to check, if we're talking something temporary, we gotta check with the union, I would think, in terms of playing with the hours like this. I would have to think we'd have to check on that. It seems like something we'd have to check.
Well, right, because, and that was the other thing, that, when we talked about the 5 hours, we talked to the union about the reduction of the hours, of 5 hours. So, that's another item that, when, I'm sure the union will never, bark at an increase in hours.
Right.
But if we're going to make something like that, I think might have to be discussed. I don't know that, unless we're just gonna add 2.5 hours right now, flat, I would say then to leave it alone. And seems that that's the way that the board is looking to go here as far as the majority.
My preference would be to revisit in February.
Then
for
we
the
would
next
have to revisit
special
in
town meeting.
February. That also gives, at the same time, does give you time to, give us time to discuss it further, but
If we're to go that route, you know, the note, what I wrote down here is, you know, how do we move it forward, right? So we can keep talking about what we don't know. And to your point, Jack, we're not gonna have a town administrator in here before June, July, more than likely, right? Not sure that can wait that long, but any thoughts on how we move forward to assess what is going on in the office to the point we understand, better understanding of what's going on and possible opportunities for sharing some of that, you know, outsourcing those functions. And I don't mean outsourcing, I mean like within the town hall,
It's gonna take.
if she needs assist.
You know, I would have to assume that it essentially, you know, if you're making the request, I would have to assume that you'd have to spend some extra time with either members of a member of the Board of Health, as well as, you know, Missy, to understand where that is, you know.
Right, each and every task would have to be logged on a daily basis, week after week after week, to come up with a, you know, a very specific number to figure out exactly, you know, what it had. I mean, so it's not an easy thing to say, okay, 2.5 hours for this and 2.5 hours for that, and, you know, so, do you get any more thoughts, Tom?
No, just to say that I am in agreement with the concept of pooling. I think it's a very worthwhile aspect to look at. I mean, it, to me, would only benefit multiple departments, not just one, but potentially benefit a lot of departments. So even though we're thinking that the work that's involved in Board of Health that we know exists now and to come down the road may warrant, you know, 40 hours, we're just looking whether that's in a pooled environment or not. But I guess time will tell.
So, I suppose, you know, again, where are we at? We're gonna wait till February on this, or are we gonna add 2.5 hours now?
I think we should wait.
We should wait.
Fair enough?
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I guess minus the, especially the articles for the zoning bylaw changes, then we are down to 43. 43,
42. Oh, no,
no, 43.
41.
It looks like.
43 is a bylaw.
43 is the bylaw? No,
Yeah.
it's a transfer of money from stabilization fund.
Oh, you're looking at a different one.
What am I looking at?
What does the little sticky on the front say?
Town hall salaries.
Okay, so you're looking at the one with the town hall salary in there. So there's another version that does not have.
Excuse me, guys.
That does not have the town hall salaries in it.
But we need to leave that in.
But we need to
there.
leave the town hall salaries in there.
I thought you said not to, I thought you said to take it
No,
out.
we need it for the building department.
Gotcha,
So that stays now,
that stays.
right?
I didn't follow you, I'm sorry.
The town hall salaries stays now because we.
Different
the building
motion, though.
Department issue, right? The town hall salaries one should have been in there anyway for raises, correct?
No,
Oh,
that's
no?
Article 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. So we have an additional,
I don't know how the articles are numbered now, so unfortunately I can't.
No, but I mean, there's a town hall salary placeholder that was intended until we had this discussion.
Not all in its own article.
Right. Well,
It's part of.
my point is you need a town hall salary article.
Yes.
Right. The motions on the floor and
we,
those are gonna not include Board of Health, but might
Well, yeah.
include building.
Right. It's Article 13, see where that sticky is? That's Article 13, that's for town hall salaries.
okay, and we only needed that for the Board of Health situation until we voted the building department information.
Yeah, if there's one designed just for town hall salaries, you can remove it.
What about the building
The
department?
building department for medical leave.
12 weeks.
You need,
Oh, you know what, if you leave that, then that makes it easier, then I can
Right.
keep it clean and put it in that line item, so you're right, let's leave it.
We're leaving it. We're just removing the zoning bylaw articles.
The last two.
So I could make a motion to sign the November 19th 2013 special town meeting warrant without bylaw articles.
Discussion. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next item would be consider appointing James Ethier to the Highway Department Labor Equipment Operator. This is for the,
Yes, and it needs to be, I discussed it with the chairman of the finance committee, Mr. Schofield here, and we need to get it effective, I believe it's the first full week in November, which is, I believe, the 4th, effective November 4th.
okay,
And then in February, when we have we're gonna have another special town meeting,
mhm,
we're going to,
transfer money?
right.
You don't want to do it at this one?
Yeah, I'm lost now.
For the money,
For which thing?
for the employee for the highway department.
Okay, so I think that I just miscommunicated that, so let me
Oh,
try
okay.
it again.
All right.
So the approach was that the Parks and Rec person who would play that dual role
Mhm.
would be meant to start working highway at the beginning of November, right?
Right.
Mhm.
For 5 months, right? So November, December, January, February, March, 5 months, right? Back in April, they go back to
Parks.
Parks for 7 months, right? So because his stint is done in November, before the special town meeting, Alan's got to roll the dice a little bit, right? He's got to employ the kid for three weeks until we go to the special town meeting. I think that's what you're trying to keep.
Right, yes, that's what I
So we
meant.
get there in November, assuming, I can only assume, I expect that the finance committee will support the request. I expect from all I know of the discussion we've had up till now, we obviously have to have the meeting.
Mhm.
And I would expect the people in Mendon to support it, so it's a little bit of a gamble, but, because he does have the money in his salary line item, this will be replaced as soon as we have the special town meeting.
Understood.
Right, that's what I meant.
That makes sense?
I understood it, yeah.
I'm good.
Right.
Yep.
Right, the only other monkey wrench that I have for that scenario is, I'm not gonna be here for the special in November.
We'll be able to stand up and discuss it for you. I will. Well, if I'm there. Oh, wait, when is it? When's the special this year?
We just
Oh.
sent November.
November
19th.
19th?
I'm so not gonna be there. That's the night we go feed the homeless again. I did it. It happens, this is 3 years in a row it happened. So, Mark will take care of it.
Yeah, Mark's.
Hey, Mike. Mark. Mike will take care of it. Sorry. Sorry about that. I might be back in time.
We'll take our cues from Rich on this.
Sorry, which?
So you have to stand up and speak on that.
Oh, that's no problem.
Yeah.
Coach us.
All right, consider the Hawkers Peddlers, oh, sorry.
I move to appoint James Ethier as Highway Department Labor Equipment Operator from November 1st to March 30th at a rate of $17.50 per hour, 40 hours per week, and as a Parks Maintenance Supervisor at a rate of $17.50 per hour for 40 hours per week, April 1st through October 31st, effective November 4th, 2013.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Consider Troop 44 Mendon, oh wait, consider Hawker Pedals transient vendor license for S&C Flowers. This is the Lamberts, 1 Cape Road.
I move to grant a Hawkers Peddlers Transient Vendors License to S&C Flowers at 1 Cape Road parking lot.
Second?
Discussion. We'll just add that when they need the next one, that we might need to call them.
Maybe.
As we normally do. Come pay for their silly stuff that they never pay for. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Consider Troop 44 Mendon Boy Scouts request to use the Kelly property April 4th through the 6th.
I move to allow the Troop 44 Mendon Boy Scouts to camp on the Kelly property on April 4th through April 6th, 2013, pending receipt of an adequate certificate of liability insurance.
2014.
2014.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Consider St. Gabriel's Women's Club request to place signs on town property.
I move to allow signs advertising St. Gabriel's Christmas Fair to be placed on the islands at Millville Road and Route 16, the island at Main Street and Route 16, the island at North Ave and Northbridge Road. The 18 by 24 signs may be erected 3 weeks prior to the event, shall be removed on December 8th, 2013.
Second.
Discussion.
It's gotta-
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I'd like to add that the public safety department be involved so that the signs don't block line of sight.
Agreed. I just, okay. I forget.
And then this to,
With sign positioning.
reviewed by public
There you
safety.
go.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consider restaurant wine and malt regular license fee?
So this is, I think we have to set a fee for this one. And you don't happen to have the rates in front of
I
you?
happen to have them somewhere, yeah.
So I think we have a bunch, but specific to just wine and malt, we don't have it. So we just,
So that's just a beer and wine cordials.
On premises.
Yeah. We don't have a fee for that one?
No, because no one has just a beer and wine, everybody has all alcohol.
5,000. I don't know, do we know what they are in other towns?
I have not had a chance to research that, but you can see what the
Right.
all alcohol is listed for, and what the wine and malt beverages
Oh, okay,
off premises.
So make it 1,000, I guess.
why different? Just
Because you can't sell,
I know the
you know something?
differences.
Yeah, I think, can we do it next week? Is that okay? Or do you need a number? We can make it 1,000 right now and adjust it next week. I just would like to see what Milford charges, or what, hope they'll, or
I
anything.
think you'll find that most towns charge more than we do all around for
Oh,
all
really?
those, but I don't know that for sure.
Get out of here. Stop. I say make it $1,000. That would be my guess. $200 less. It's $200 less for the store ones. Package store beer and wine is $800. Package store all alcohol is $1,000. A restaurant on premise is $1,200. I say knock that down to $1,000.
Well, anyone can make a motion,
Yes.
so, are you, do you?
That's fine with me. I'd like to
I was thinking
eventually.
1,200.
But it's $1,200 for a full.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I think we should look at all of them at some point, but
Well, so, I want 12, he wants 1,000. I need a number to put on this so we can make a motion.
11.
1150. 12's fine with me.
Really?
The more the better to me.
And we can adjust this on the fly, right?
No, well, actually, because I sent out all but 2 license renewal letters, and I had to hold this one back because I didn't have a fee.
Who has that?
Deluxe Pizza.
What did we charge them last year?
It was a new license, so I think I did either I'm not sure if I did the 800 or the 1,200.
You want to split the difference?
It's expensive enough to run a business. I mean, I make it $1,000. I would stick with that, but I mean, really, again, here we are.
Right.
2.5 hours or $100.
I move to set the fee for restaurant wine, malt, I move to set the fee for a restaurant wine and malt regular license at $1,000.
Second.
Sorry, discussion, and what I would say that is, once we get the town coordinator hired, we give him a task of his 150th task to
I
do
will-
immediately.
I have a running
Research
list.
all of the license fees that are in our purview to make sure that they're in line with the surrounding communities. All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss the municipal clerk. That's the ongoing, oh, yeah.
I think we resolved that, right?
No.
Oh, no, that's a standing discussion around municipal clerks.
Capital expenditures account, we don't have any further discussion on that this evening, do we?
Say again?
Anything on the capital expenditures account this evening? Approve the meeting minutes for October 21st.
I move to approve the executive session meeting minutes of October 21st, 2013, not to be released as written.
Second?
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any reason for executive session this evening? Excellent. Yes. Items are received. Okay, we have Misco Road, Old Road to Upton for the 11-4 meeting.
No. Sorry.
Yeah, we did.
Misco Road, Old Road to Upton, you want to
Do
put
you
that
want to
on
put
the...
it on the 4th?
On the November 4th meeting, because Jean had mentioned that there are plans before the planning board, and if Jean has to assign street numbers, she needs a street name, and if you're going to change the name of that old road to Upton,
I make it long, like, so long, you can't even put it on an envelope.
so how, you want to talk about that November 4th?
No, I would leave it the same. And that's my opinion, unless you guys have another opinion. That's the name of the road. Let it ride.
So you've made a decision? Cool.
I don't know.
One less thing for next
You
week?
know what, put it on November 4th. If anybody has
Yeah.
any input on it, have them come on up. How's that? Please announce the opening of the BVT School Committee. Again, no one has shown interest. We still have an opening on the Blackstone Valley Tech School Committee. So if there's anybody interested, the position was vacated. It's an elected, it is an elected position. It will be appointed with, jointly between the Board of Selectmen in Mendon, as well as the superintendent of Blackstone Valley Tech, I believe, was the people that would be involved in that, or the school committee, but.
The school
Okay.
committee, both school
So,
committees.
if anybody has any interest, please come forward.
Reconsidering executive session.
Sure.
So I move to enter into executive session under Mass General Law 30A, Section 21, to discuss strategy regarding security personnel and to consider value of real estate for which discussion in an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, and to discuss deployment strategy or strategy regarding
Yeah, I
security person. Can I just
Oh,
get
I'm
that part?
sorry.
Yeah, I would take this piece out,
All right, so
and this one too.
it's really to consider
We don't have to talk about this one, right?
value of real estate.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're only to consider value of real estate for which discussion at open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. A roll call vote is needed. The meeting will reconvene only to adjourn.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Got it, aye?
Tenio, aye?
Real eye.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for coming in.